Good evening. You are with the big story here on Mirror Now. I'm Seher Zama. Let's in fact go ahead and make a start with the top focus this hour. This is with respect to the Eminence tag, which is now proving to be a headache as far as Anna University is concerned. It is a controversy that it has landed itself in. With the Eminence tag, it brings in a central grant of 1,000 crore rupees. The Vice Chancellor claims it will be used to upgrade the university's infrastructure. But with that tag and with the funds here, it also stands to lose its reservation policy. It follows the state policy right now, which allows 69% reservation, which is the highest in the country. But if it becomes an institute of eminence, if it gets that tag, if it gets that certificate, the reservation is likely to be impacted here. And there are around 550 engineering colleges that are under the Anna University. But let's get in other aspects to this case here as well. The opposition in Tamil Nadu says that the Vice Chancellor's move will jeopardize the 69% reservation which is provided by the state, and that this is an attempt now to saffronize the university. The DMK has accused the centre of trying to take full control of the university there as well, and the opposition is now demanding the Vice Chancellor's resignation on this.
University Vice Chancellor அவர்கள் எடுத்து வைக்கிற அந்த நடவடிக்கைகள் என்பது ஜனநாயக ரீதியில் ஏற்கனவே மரபு சார்ந்த நடவடிக்கை. அவர் புதிய வைஸ் சான்சலர் அல்ல, ஏற்கனவே வைஸ் சான்சலருக்கு என்று ஒரு மரபு இருக்கிறது. அந்த மரபு கடைபிடித்தாலே சர்ச்சைகள் வராது. எப்போதுமே ஒரு உயர் பதவியில் இருப்பவர்கள் அந்த மரபுகளை கடைபிடித்து நாம் கவனமாக கையாள வேண்டும். அதுவும் இது தேர்தல் காலம் என்பதனாலே ஒவ்வொரு விஷயங்களும் சர்ச்சைக்கு உள்ளாக்கப்படுவது என்பது ஒவ்வொரு காலங்களிலும் நாம் பார்த்து அந்த அனுபவம் எல்லோருக்கும் இருக்கிறது.
Let's get in our correspondent Pramod getting us further inputs here on this. Pramod, given the fact that reservation there across 550 colleges, engineering colleges which are under Anna University, this is going to be impacted here. Is the Vice Chancellor not concerned about that aspect?
Well, we can definitely say the bigger problem here is that this is an institution that comes under the Tamil Nadu government's prerogative. The Tamil Nadu government is the owner of this institution and not the central government, and it is one of really a massive institution. Just like you mentioned, imagine it's the authoritative institution for 550 engineering colleges in the state. And the bigger issue here is that even though the Vice Chancellor seems to be extremely interested in getting the Institute of Eminence tag, the Tamil Nadu government has stayed a bit reluctant. In fact, the first, we could understand this by the first steps it was done, because the proposal by the VC was given to the Tamil Nadu government. Later, the Tamil Nadu government said that it cannot at current moment provide 500 crores, which is supposed to be given as a share from the state, for which apparently the VC, while writing the last letter on June 2nd, without the consent of the Tamil Nadu government, has gone and said that that money can be generated by the university itself. So now it has turned into a tug of war between the VC and the Tamil Nadu government there itself. But very clearly, educational activists and everyone says that not just the opposition, but even the state government is reluctant to get the IOE tag, because everyone are afraid that it will definitely tamper the 69% reservation that is provided by the state government.
All right. But Pramod, also help us understand on how this conflict comes into play. If you get that Institute of Eminence tag, the IEE, you be declared as a world-class university here, a recognition for higher education institutes there. But why does reservation need to be hit with that tag?
Well, two explanations are being provided. On one side, the Vice Chancellor is saying that if we get the Institute of Eminence tag, a 1,000 crore grant will be provided, which can be used for infrastructure development, bringing professors from various nations and also sending students to various nations. However, the actual aspect that the state government created Anna University back in 1978 was to make sure that the children from the very poor background and first-time school goers get a chance to get higher education. So that was the basic idea behind it. And Anna University is definitely not struggling without any funds currently. That is the kind of explanation that is being provided by the state government and the educational activists in the state. And not just that, several educational activists who had gone through the UGC regulations considering IOE are afraid that whatever explanation that has been provided are only in the form of annexure when it comes to keeping the actual reservation policies following it, which has been provided by the state. So that is becoming a very big question, because assurance on the reservation policy is not perfectly given in the regulations, and that is why everybody is considering this a little bolder move. The second and foremost issue here is that, just like you heard R.B. Uday Kumar, the minister here, it seems that the Vice Chancellor has not followed the norms. He had not provided a proper discussion or proposal to the state government, and apparently he has kind of bypassed certain areas, especially not involving the chief minister of the state into it, and that is why it has turned into a controversy.
All right. Well, Pramod, appreciate you getting us those details and also the explanation here to this as well. We also have our colleague Avni Raja getting us further details here on how the reservation is split down and also specifically the number of students who are going to be impacted and how this is now currently playing out into a center versus state battle.
Yes, that's right, Saher. In fact, let me take you through how this is different for the centre. This policy for reservation between the centre and the state is different. So, starting with scheduled caste, for the centre, it's a 15% reservation, and for the state, it is in fact 18%. Scheduled tribes, 7.5%, whereas for 1% as far as the state is concerned. Also, in the centre's policy, there is no special central assistance, whereas there is a special assistance that's provided to states. And finally, there is an income ceiling as far as the OBC category reservation is concerned, but there is no income ceiling for OBCs as far as the state is concerned. So obviously, this is a stark contrast between the differences in the reservation policies for the centre and for the state, and that is why this entire political battle has sort of broken out, because it would sort of throw the entire reservation policy of this, as per the state, completely out of gear, and that obviously would then affect vote banks, especially with the elections coming up in Tamil Nadu, Seher.
Right. Well, Avni, thank you for getting us those inputs here on this as well. This is regarding the Anna University, which has about 550 engineering colleges under it. The Supreme Court today has told the centre that it's not fair to take a month's time to implement the effects of a waiver scheme that is related to the loan moratorium issue. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta informed the top court here that the benefits of the government concessions to the borrowers here is up to 2 crore rupees and will be implemented by the 15th of November. We have with us our Deputy News Editor Meenakshi Bhanja, who's getting us further inputs here on this. Meenakshi, the Supreme Court making it very clear that these are benefits for people who are in immediate requirement of this relief. There should be no further delay. More importantly, with Diwali coming up here as well, what is the centre's explanation in this delay?
Well, that's right, sir. And the Supreme Court also humorously making a remark today that the Diwali of the common man is now in the hands of the central government. Central government saying that it does not want to unnecessarily delay things. That was the formal official explanation given by the top law officer who is representing the government and also the myriad other institutions in this rather complex issue. But like you rightly mentioned, the Supreme Court did frown upon the time that the central government is seeking an outer limit till the 15th of November to implement this loan waiver, at least for those vulnerable sectors in 8 areas which the government on its own part submitted that it has taken a affirmative decision on. So the Supreme Court, therefore, going on to make the observation, and I'm quoting, and I quote, not fair on Center's part to take a month to implement this decision. And then furthermore, again, another observation coming in from the Supreme Court where it says, see the plight of the common people when you have already decided to help, unquote. So essentially, the Supreme Court making the argument that once a decision has been taken for providing relief to the most vulnerable sectors in at least 8 areas, then the implementation of a simple loan waiver should happen forthwith.
Absolutely. Meenakshi, thank you for getting us those inputs. Let's now get you rain-related updates that are coming in from the worst affected 2 states. This is Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. At least 20 people in all have been reported dead, 5 in Andhra Pradesh and 15 in Telangana. Continuous rains that the 2 states have seen for the past 3 days here, lives that have been entirely thrown out of gear to the extent that now they need to be prepared for the coming 2 days as well, because these kind of heavy rains have been predicted to continue for the coming 48 hours as well. Waterlogging, flooding that has been reported in both Krishna and Kurnool districts of Andhra Pradesh. In Hyderabad, the authorities here have issued an advisory to people to remain indoors here and to continue to remain indoors even for the coming 2 days. So according to the Met Department, the rains that were triggered by a deep depression, this was over the west central Bay of Bengal area that has led up to these heavy rains across several districts of Telangana. Let's now get you updates that are coming in from the capital city here of Hyderabad. Remember, Hyderabad is the worst affected across all cities where rains have been reported here. The state government has also stated that these are the heaviest rains that the state has seen in the past 30 years. State government has declared a 2-day holiday in Hyderabad. 15 people, as we said, who were reported dead in rain-related accidents. 3 people, including a child who died in a house collapse in Shamshabad this morning, when 10 people were killed in 2 wall collapses in separate incidents across the city that had been reported. Several localities now have been completely flooded. The state further here informs in warning people here to continue stay indoors as much as possible.
Well, we are right now standing in Mushrambagh area, which connects this Ambapet to the Ambapet area to the other part of the city, and this is the main road we can clearly see, and a huge water is being flowing. That is Musi River, and actually that is the bridge where we can see, and that bridge have been overflown, and the water has been inundated the bridge and overflowing. That is Musi River, and that is the one of the oldest river in the Hyderabad city. And we can clearly see after incessant rainfall, the water has been completely water levels have been drastically raised in the tank bund in Musi River and also in Himayat Sagar reservoir, and we can clearly see the residences, the shops, everything here has been inundated, and a few people have also been stuck in these lanes, and the authorities couldn't go into those lanes because they are standing on the terraces in those lanes, and they are asking for the help, and authorities are trying to go there, and because the water level is very high here, the authorities are called in for the help, and they are using the boats to rescue the people. Earlier we have spoke to Minister also. He clearly said that they are using all the machineries to rescue the people, to ensure that all the people who are in low level areas and facing problems are being rescued, and over 600 people have been rescued in the morning, and over 500 to 600 people have been rescued here in Ramantapur area using the boats by the DRF teams and also the police. We can clearly see here the Musi River is overflowing from the Mushrambagh bridge. This is the heart of the Hyderabad city, and this is the situation here in the Hyderabad. People who resides in huts and also in the sheds and various other places, they have also their sheds, their huts have also been washed away in the most affected areas like Uppal, Ramantapur and Sarur Nagar, Dilshuk Nagar, and in these places authorities and a few NGOs have came forward to help them, giving them daily essentials and also food to them. And if we see public are still facing problems. They are stranded at their residences. They are trying to contact the authorities in various places. Just before we have reported from Ramantapur area, where thousands of families have stranded in their residences because Ramantapur lake overflowed and the water entered into their residences. And the authorities are saying that they are trying to take the situation into control. And till now, over 11 people have reportedly died in 2 to 3 incidents, and 3 people have been missing, till now missing, and the authorities have launched a search operation in different parts of the Hyderabad city and the outskirts of the Hyderabad city. And if we see 8 people, including 2 months old infant, has died after a huge boulder crushed them to death. And in the other incident, 3 people in a residence died after roof of their residence collapsed due to incessant rains.
Our correspondent Somit is getting us all those updates here. That's coming in from Hyderabad, but there are various other cities across the state here where heavy rainfall has been reported. Let's get you some separate incidents that have been reported here. In this, as you can see, but this is once again coming in from Hyderabad because, as we said, it is the worst affected city here. You can see streets that are now looking like flowing rivers. A man caught in the middle of gushing water here, as you can see, dragged in the flowing flood water, unable to get hold of anything there to get himself out. Bystanders could only watch as he was being swept away by that forceful, strong current. There was no relief that could reach him in time. The force of the flood water that can be seen flowing through the streets of Hyderabad. Once again, these are cars getting washed away as well. The car collides with 2 other cars, as you see up on your screens, getting washed away. And this is coming from New Bhavanpalli area of the city. These are the next images coming in Shamshabad area of Hyderabad. Once again, a lake barrier that collapsed, leading to massive destruction in the area. Even National Highway 44 has been entirely cut off because of this. The Al Jubail colony and the Falaknuma Ghazi-e-Millat colony there in Hyderabad has been completely flooded. Water that can be seen flowing into the streets. Once again, there is relief that needs to reach these people all in time. The Nehru Zoological Park in Hyderabad, that has not been spared either. These are visuals up on your screen from inside the park here that has been heavily waterlogged. On the issue of air pollution, dipping air quality in Delhi in this time of the year, this is yet another measure that has been taken in, with the Delhi Pollution Control Committee now having banned the use of electricity generator sets of all capacities. So the ban of generators will come into effect from tomorrow itself, but this ban will not be applicable, of course, for essential and emergency services. In more breaking inputs here, the Punjab government has decided to convene a special session of the Punjab Vidhan Sabha. This is on Monday, October 19th, which is next week, and this is now to bring in a legislation to counter what they've called a dangerous anti-farmer farm laws there that have been passed by the central government. This decision to this effect that was taken at a meeting of the Punjab cabinet that was chaired by the Chief Minister through video conferencing. So this is an instance of what we're getting in, action that has been taken by a state government to reject central laws. Our correspondent Gurpreet is getting us further details here on this. Gurpreet, Punjab, of course, being the state from where we've seen the maximum number of farmers protest here against the farm laws, and the Punjab government, which has always supported those protests against these farm laws, has stepped in taking this official decision now as well against those laws.
Well, yes, of course, that in Punjab, that farmers, they have been protesting since this ordinance has been passed from the parliament. After that, farmers unions, they have been mounting pressure on the state government to say that to get a legal help from the Fed. And Punjab Capital Ministry, he has been saying he is the farmers relentlessly, and he has also given the direction all the legislators not to take any action against farmers who are sitting on the protest. In view of all the development, he has decided to convene a new special session to annul and negate this farm ordinance passed by the central government, because he said that he wanted to and it will ruin the farmers all over. So, in view of all to convene special session where they will negate the central laws which are passed by the parliament.
Gurpreet, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that. We're having an audio issue here on this, but yes, the Punjab government stepping in with now moving a legislation in the State Assembly which is against these central government farm laws. There have been more protests here on this very issue. These are leaders representing 29 farmer unions from Punjab who walked out of a meeting with the Agriculture Secretary, which is here in the national capital here, and they protested outside the Krishi Bhavan in Delhi. Farmers here said they decided to walk out in protest after no minister came to meet with them, listen into their problems. The farmers here say that the government has failed to address their grievances during this meeting.
कुछ नहीं है, ये धोखा हुआ है, धोखा बुला के हमसे कोई बात हो हमें समझाना चाहते थे, हम समझना पागल नहीं है जो समझना है।
तो क्या बोला आप लोगों ने? क्या
कुछ नहीं बोला, उसने कोई बात नहीं कर रहे हमसे, बस
उस एक्ट को वापस लेने पर कोई बात नहीं हुई।
वो बात कोई वो तो बोल रहे कि हम आपको समझाने के लिए बुलाया है, बस कोई बात नहीं हुई, धोखा हुआ है, बुला के टाइम वेस्ट किया, हमें पागल बनाया।
Now, this is part of Mirror Now's special series as far as tracking the lives of migrants is concerned. Their hardships that we had seen at the start of the lockdown here, but those hardships are continuing. There are many still who are without work, without livelihood. Many of them are coming back, returning to big cities here with the hope that they get some of their jobs back, but many still haven't been able to. The lockdown wasn't easy, but even this current phase here, which hasn't provided them any relief. We are putting in the focus here right now as far as the textile sector here is concerned. Amidst what has been a very dull festive season, a very dull wedding season, there has been no pickup in the market here. The textile industry in and around, specifically looking at the area in Mumbai here, has been massively hit this year. At a factory here where 10 workers used to be employed at one time, right now only one worker has been hired, which means most of the returning migrant laborers here will not be getting their jobs back. Our correspondent Santya Gora here with us with more details.
30-year-old Jagannath Gaur used to work in a textile factory. He would earn around 25,000 per month, and that would be enough to support himself as well as his family back home in Bihar's Darbhanga. But the lockdown took away his job. He had to put in all his savings to hire a truck which took him back home. Jagan returned to Mumbai once the lockdown was relaxed, but life as he knew it had changed completely.
पहले कपड़े का काम करता था, तो लॉकडाउन में बंदी हो गया, सब थाने वांदे हो गए, तो गांव भागना पड़ा। अभी गांव से आए तो अभी बिगाड़ी करना पड़ा, कपड़े का दुकान बंद हो गया सब।
There are many others like Jagan who are returning with the hope of picking up their life where they left it, but are only meeting with disappointment. Factory owners point at a major dip in demand as manufacturing in small textile industries has dropped by almost 80%. So the previous strength of workforce is not required. Mohammad Umar has a small factory to make sherwanis, but is unable to even employ 10 workers as he used to earlier.
लॉकडाउन से पहले मेरे पास 8 से 10 आदमी काम करते थे कंटिन्यू, और अभी का पोजीशन ये है कि एक आदमी मेरे पास काम करता है. उसके लिए भी मेरे पास काम नहीं है पूरी तरह से. हम लोग को वेडिंग सीजन से बहुत सारी उम्मीदें थी कि शायद वेडिंग सीजन स्टार्ट होगा तो हम लोग का काम चलेगा, लेकिन इस बार ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है.
Not just smaller factories, the situation is grim in bigger textile factories as well, where manufacturing has been cut down to half its earlier volume.
During festival season, there is a lot of purchases. Also, the weddings and other functions, which are almost are not there because of the conditions that maybe for a wedding you are allowed only 100 people or 50 people, and then that buying, that purchases for the wedding purpose also has not picked up. The textile industry is running only at maybe 20-25%, and some of them have not started at all.
Factories are there, machines are there, and those who used to work on these machines and weave magic have also now come back. But because of this acute lack of demand, now nobody knows that when will these factories come back to life and when will our labourers be able to earn their livelihood again. In Mumbai, with camera person Vasant Parab, this is Santya for Mirror Now.
With that, we're moving into a very tiny breather here on the big story. Stay on with us. We're back in just a bit. There's more news for you on our website here as well, mirrornownews.com.